Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast. That isn't. I'm Mike. I'm here with Tookie. I'm here with Dave, and we are talking about the greatest live-action sitcom of all time, Cheers, and a cotton candy episode, The Bartender's Tale, which is to say it was perfectly enjoyable while it was happening and provided zero sustenance overall and is forgotten very quickly as soon as it was over, to the point where we have this main character who's working at the bar, and I don't believe is ever mentioned again once this episode is over. I really should have watched next week's just to see if they even mentioned, like, hey, remember that waitress that we had here last week? She got in a truck accident. I don't know, something. Very weird.
I like this episode, but you're right. Like we
Yeah.
never. Who's Lillian?
Yeah.
Yeah, she seems like she
Chuck
really
from
gets
Happy Days.
She really thinks like she has she makes a huge impression on everybody in that bar, and then yes, like she gets there's maybe a little parallel with the Spider-Man movie.
Wait, which one? Which one?
That they then forget they even exist.
Yeah.
Spoiler, Dave. Spoiler.
It's because I'm the last person in America to.
Yeah. No spoilers. 2 months in with the biggest movie of all time. We're not in that world anymore. I'm sorry.
I finally saw it.
What'd you think?
I was delighted. I was
amazing.
I was happy to be in a movie theater.
Yeah.
I was drinking soda. I was drinking cherry Coke.
Okay. Great. I will say there were teenage girls in the audience when me and the man went to watch, and there was an applause break for certain heartthrobs
deserved
who appeared.
Nice. Now, who appears that is now considered a heartthrob to the teen ladies? It's not Toby. I mean, Toby's beyond that.
No, Toby has a mortgage and 2 kids. Like Toby is a grown man.
Is it Garfield?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he existed in that space for the young ladies.
You know,
I mean, he's certainly an attractive fella.
That
was zero shade at Andrew Garfield.
No. I get it. But I don't get. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna yuck somebody's yum, right? I'm of the camp where I think I'm on record as saying Ryan Gosling is struggle faced, but that's my opinion. You know what I mean? Like it's my opinion, and I am known to like a little dirt in my coffee, but Ryan Gosling is not my kind of dirt. It's not to say he's a bad looking dude, but to me, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's what you like,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. He's cherry Coke.
Yeah.
Some people are just, it was the highlight of the movie for some people, and it makes me gag a little bit. But I don't, that doesn't mean that you should not enjoy cherry Coke. It doesn't mean it should make you any less happy.
Right.
There you go.
You line up those 3 Spider-Men, and I'm like just on pure physical presentation. I'm going with Garfield every time.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a missed opportunity. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I know it's been talked about a ton. I'm really happy for Andrew Garfield that this happened for him. Yeah. And obviously he's done fine in his life. He keeps getting, nominated for Oscars. He's working all the time. And he's talked about it. You could tell he was very disappointed with how his Spider-Man movies were received. And it was essentially through no fault of his own. It was, they were badly handled movies. He was a really great choice for Peter Parker in his late 20s, which is what Peter Parker has been in the comic book for 30 years now, 40 years, I think.
Usually.
And there was just no reason 2 years after the most recent one to reboot it and put this 28-year-old guy back in high school.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God. I mean, you already, which is one of the things I loved about the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy, that we didn't need to see his origin story again because we've seen it. There are Amish kids in Pennsylvania, Dutch country, who know the Spider-Man origin story. We don't need it, which is one of my big pet peeves about Superman. When you do a new Superman, we don't need to start on Krypton. Everybody knows this.
Well, many shots?
I love that they did that.
How many shots of Martha Wayne's pearls are we going to get over the course of our lifetime? Like, I don't need it.
Exactly.
I get it.
Just bouncing off the asphalt into a puddle. We don't need it anymore. So I love that. And I wish he had gotten a chance to do that because he had a really good take on Peter Parker too.
Yeah.
He had a good take on Peter Parker's Spider-Man as well. So it was really, really fun. And they had a great cast, and they just were trapped in this place of the people who asked for the wrong thing. Yeah.
For me,
So I actually compared him to Sarah Ramirez this week, which is not something I think a ton of people did. From Che Diaz from And Just Like That.
Oh, all I know is Big died on a Peloton. I don't pay attention to any of that.
My wife Jen watched all the episodes, and I saw one episode and I've read the recaps just because it's hysterical how angry it's making everybody. So I've read multiple recaps for each episode of this show. It's fantastic. And I was just saying, I always feel bad for actors who get the brunt of the anger when it's choices they didn't make that brought the anger upon them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for Sarah Ramirez, it was just, and it's my pet peeve forever, and I know I've talked about it, don't cast non-comedians as comedians. It doesn't play. And when you're trying to cast this person, it's like, you know, people are like, his most hated character in TV. And a huge part of it is not their fault. It's they're being presented as like, we're doing a Netflix comedy concert and I'm up here and I'm doing my thing. And they don't ever read as believable as comedian. So the whole time you're watching, you're like, this is wrong. I don't like this. What the hell is happening? And they get that they wanted to have this super narcissist character, and it works as a comedian. But part of what makes comedians get away with being super narcissist is that they're super entertaining when they're around all the time. So you're just kind of like, yeah, they don't give a shit about anyone but themselves are very funny. And I'm going to enjoy that. And when you don't have that, you're just like, fuck this fucking person. I don't want to spend any fucking time with you. And shut up. You can only talk this much when it's entertaining, and it's not entertaining. So yeah, the Andrew Garfield and Sarah Ramirez, I feel like, suffered the bruises that their creators should have suffered.
Mike, are you okay?
I think my pet peeve. There are so many comedians who are actors. You don't ever need to do this. Why do people insist on doing it over and over and over again? I'm sorry, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is terrible. That's a terrible show. And it's this talented actors in it. It looks great. It's well directed. And I will never watch another episode of it because fuck you. No one's watching this and thinking that's a talent that's undeniable. If you had a movie about a singer, if A Star Is Born starred someone who couldn't sing, you wouldn't watch that movie. You wouldn't watch it. If the whole time you were like, hey, she seems a little flat. Am I the only one that thinks they're a little pitchy? Like they're not quite on note here? Would you watch that movie? Wouldn't someone notice halfway
we watched
through filming
Selena
that they couldn't sing?
Okay. We let Selena create a whole career for J-Lo. And
J-Lo can sing. She's talented. J-Lo can dance. She can sing enough. I mean, J-Lo, you can't say that when she's actually had hit albums.
But sung by Ashanti.
Same thing. Like if Sarah Ramirez had actually had a Netflix comedy concert, I'd have to sit here and go, well, somebody else likes it. Maybe I don't think it's great, but they've had a huge hit comedy concert. Fine.
Every
J-Lo has done that.
Every J-Lo album is an Ashanti B-side and a what's her face, Christina Milian demo tape. Like it's not.
Yeah, but she's not Ashanti. Okay, fine. But that's like saying, I mean, there are tons of people who aren't super fabulous comics, but you still believe they're comics. And you get that people would want to sit and watch them because they're really funny. You know, not everyone's comedy special is going to be Pryor on the Sunset Strip, but you're still like, okay, but I get that this is a special. I mean, J-Lo has had hit albums. People have paid to listen to J-Lo sing for no other reason than she's going to be singing and appearing.
They're paying for the visuals more than anything.
All right. I mean, okay, then you need to show me that Spotify has never downloaded J-Lo without the video.
There's
That has
visual
happened.
tracks now.
Unless you've got a fancier radio than I, because she's been doing this for 20 years. When you weren't streaming YouTube, the woman has done it.
I
did not think this was going to get into a passionate J-Lo defense.
Did not see this coming.
But here we are. In case anyone was wondering how much we're valuing this week's episode of Cheers.
I like this episode.
We are at 10:26.
Okay, but I will say, I know I'm backtracking a little bit, but just per the Spider-Man discourse, per the Spider-Mans, I will say there was a very missed opportunity to recreate that meme of the Spider-Mans pointing at each other.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity. Needed that.
There's, I'm hoping I'm crediting him correctly. I think it's a comedian I knew in LA called Avi Lieberman, who had a funny joke about how his mom always pronounced Spider-Man, like he was a Jewish lawyer. And when you say, I know that when you say Spider-Man, it reminds me of that joke a lot.
But he's Spider-Man. I don't know what people want from me.
It brings up an interesting question. Is the plural when you're dealing with three people called Spider-Man, Spider-Mans or Spider-Man?
Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man, singular, Spider-Man, plural.
But it's a proper name, so I think it would be Spider-Mans.
Yeah, I think you got to go with I think you got 3 Spider-Mans in that lab.
Okay, fair. That's
exactly.
That's
you don't have 3 Spider-Men. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. But I from my perspective, when I want to emphasize Mr. Peter Parker's alias, that's Spider-Man, but otherwise Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man.
Fair. I'm not saying you don't have a case.
Okay.
I'm not throwing you out of court.
Okay, thank you.
I'm making my argument to the jury.
Listen, since Tookie and I together make up one full fledged Hebrew, we got to get down on the Spider-Man. Jones.
Thank you, Dave. Yes.
I'm still toying with converting. I still feel like there's a path to me being the most Jewish person on this show.
Do it.
There's a lane.
I'm out bat mitzvah money. Do it for me.
Yeah.
Do it for me.
If Charlotte York Greenblatt can get bat mitzvah that late in life, I've got a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, whatever you think of the show, you have to read the recaps. The anger of the recaps for And Just Like That is so good. It's so good.
I'm sorry, but no disrespect, but hell hath no fury. Like a middle-aged Sex and the City fan.
Yeah. I think it's hysterical how many people are watching it and how universal the vitriol is, because it's coming from the middle-aged women. It's like the one I read that really savaged Che was written by a non-binary critic. It's like, what the fuck? We waited this long for this? Yeah.
Hell has no fury.
It's really universal.
When you mildly inconvenience a Sex and the City fan who's like over 40, hell hath no fury. I love it. I'm here for it. Amen. But I never would mess with those.
Read it. All right. Cheers. Season 1, episode 23, The Bartender's Tale. It was fun. I love Lillian. I want to go to Lillian's bar.
Right?
I feel like we're gonna fly through this episode. I love Lillian. I want her at my public house. She is delightful. I don't know why they didn't figure out a way to keep her in for at least a few episodes. Give her an arc and then she can be gone. You know what I mean? Let's figure this out.
I know this such an opportunity here with Diane overseas, and you can play with this, and it would be so much fun.
She's gone. Come on. And I don't know what was going on, but I know next week's episode is a little bit of a filler episode as well. The Bells of St. Cleats. Yeah, it's another one where it's just like, all right, well, we're going kind of long and we're sweeps. We don't want to do reruns, so let's do a couple more. It was weird. All right, Dave, this what was going on when the Bartender's Tale occurred and Lillian came into all of our lives?
This premiered on April 18th, 1985, the same day that the first ever, at least to my research, Western pop album was released in China. Can you guess what band released the first ever Western pop album in China? Huge band in 85.
U2?
No, but you're right in that they are European. They're not American.
Okay.
The Rolling Stones.
Nope. One of the members went on to a massive solo career and passed away maybe about 5-6 years ago.
I was gonna say Genesis, but no.
Duo.
No, they're all still with us.
Wham!
Yes.
Oh, Wham! Oh, that's not a band, is it?
Oh,
Dude,
they're so
I feel
a
like
band.
you gotta have 3 people for a band.
They're so a band. George Michael is 2 people in and of himself.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I could be wrong.
Listen, George Michael is 2 people.
2
He's
people
2
is a
people.
duo.
No,
He's
no.
2 people on his own. So
yes,
the 2 George Michaels and Andrew Ridgeley constitute 3, and you have a
yes,
band.
because he's.
Is there an argument that Andrew Ridgeley is only half a person?
No,
I'm sorry. That was way too nasty
doing
towards
Black
Andrew
History Month,
Ridgeley,
Mike.
who has done nothing to me. I apologize. It was such
we're
a
not.
cheap shot.
We're not going to make fractions of people during Black History Month.
Jesus.
I told you I knew this podcast was going to get me in trouble. I knew it.
I didn't think it was going to be Ridgeley.
Knew it.
But
oh,
I'm sorry.
Mike's the only person
like
that
a
got
harmless Wham joke.
he got canceled over Andrew Ridgeley.
At least it was over something really important. I went to the wall for my principles.
They released the album, and later on in the year, they actually played a couple of concerts, one in Beijing, one in Nanking. First Western act to do so. There's a documentary called Wham in China, Foreign Skies, where you can see some of the concert footage of George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley and their 10-piece band playing in China. Attendees were instructed not to dance, and people that danced were summarily removed, according to eyewitness accounts from the concert.
Wow.
And that is right around the time that Footloose came out. So
it's they can see the writing on the wall. Apparently,
apparently
at one point, George Michael tried to get the crowd to clap along, and everyone was like, "We don't know what to do."
Wow.
I'm laughing, but that's also really horrifying.
I know.
Wow.
That's scary.
Yeah. Whew. Oh man. All right. Well, thank you for that interesting and terrifying little tidbit. Tookie, can you tell us about this week's cold open, please?
Yes, but before I do, I just want to, state my case for why George Michael is 2 people, because he is George Michael and he is also your father figure.
My dad looks nothing like George Michael.
Figure.
Okay. I'm not saying I don't admire George Michael more than my actual dad.
I get it.
Yeah. Like if I needed advice, I used to call George Michael before my dad. So you're making a strong case.
Thank you.
Like, George, should I get an adjustable rate mortgage here? He's like, no, son, no. You want to go fixed rate.
Has he ever steered you wrong? Doubt it.
That's funny because the surviving members of Queen actually asked your dad to sing with them at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert.
Oh. What a beautiful memory.
Yeah. I miss you, Papa Lambert.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, cold open. Cold open. So, and I'm loving these God. Okay, I don't know what's prompting the writers to truncate the cold opens, but I'm loving that they're punchy and short and sweet to the point. But there's a gaping coach hole in my heart with all of this. Okay, so intro. We enter on the bar and Sam is chatting up a lovely brunette and Norm says, "Oh, who's the lovely lady Sam's talking to?" And Carla says, "Another applicant for the waitress job," because Diane has vacated her position. Cliff says, well, I bet it isn't easy to find someone to hire for the wages she pays you. And Carla says, well, with tips, I clear about $500 a week, Clavin. Everybody goes silent, shocked at this revelation, at this high number. And Cliff turns to Norm. He's like, that can't be right, is it? Norm says, yeah, I did her taxes. And Cliff says, you mean to tell me a federal employee entrusted with the most noble and vital service to our society makes less than a wench who serves beer to slobs on bar stools? And Norm says, well, it makes sense to me, Cliffy. No, really, I could go up to 3 days or so without mail, but continues to chug his beer. And in this, and roll credits, but in this opening sequence were two of my 80s moments already.
Nice.
Unironically, calling a female public house service member, staff member, a wench. What? And I calculated the inflation rate, $500.85 amounts to about $1,295 a week that she's pulling down in 2022 numbers.
Yep, about $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
Not enough to actually house a family of 5 in Boston, but still not a bad number.
Yeah.
Nope.
Not a bad number. All right. So we got this week's episode. A couple of notes. So we've got the B story, which is essentially just a scene with Diane and Fraser in Italy, where, speaking of conversion numbers, he overtips and then, accidentally tips $100 instead of $1 for the bellhop. And Diane, I still haven't recovered from this scene. Either times that I've watched it, Diane is of the opinion, well, my love, you have to go and get the money back. You don't get the money back.
Tip is
like this rich person, even in 1985, $100 was not going to change the life of Fraser Crane at all. And she was so insistent, she said, if you don't go, I'll go. I mean, just shaming him into taking this money away from the service person. How dare you? What are you doing? Let that man keep his 200,000 lira. Good Lord.
I was being forgiving of Diane because she's so obviously pregnant and very like she hustles into that. She holds her coat so close to her abdomen walking in and hustles to that desk and plants herself. It's pretty spectacular how the lengths that she's going to hide that baby belly.
Yeah. And this was filmed like 3 months before the most recent episode where she was in the bar. So it's just a reminder of how incredibly pregnant she was for a few of these most recent episodes. Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Yep. So that was our B story. Our A story is hiring a new server for Cheers. And that is the whole thing. And Sam wants to hire somebody hot. And then he ends up but he's given Carla veto power over any new hire. They wind up hiring Lillian, who is a career server, and I want to be in her bar so bad I can't even tell you. I wish I could do her monologue about wanting to be a waitress as an audition piece. I loved it. It was fabulous. A beautiful woman. Everything is going great. He doesn't know if he wants to hire her. Then he hires her. She's amazing. They're having sing-alongs. Everything's going great. A beautiful young British model comes in. Oh my God, it's Lillian's daughter. What is happening? She's showing her modeling book, which apparently has nudes in it, which felt like a bit much. I got the lingerie modeling. The tiny bit nude was kind of like, yeah, come on. But okay, here we are. And apparently, I think there's an argument for an 80s thing. You know, Carla is saying, no, you can't go with her. But I really want to. No, you can't go with her. I'll quit. He decides he's going to take her to Cape Cod because in 1985, when you just met someone, you go to Cape Cod. No problem. It's like going to the movies, apparently. She says you have to get Lillian's permission. He goes into the back room, starts talking about how, well, I told her I wouldn't get involved personally with anybody. Lillian thinks that he is attracted to her. She is attracted to him. They are going to consummate this. She just is perfect in how lustful she is. I couldn't have enjoyed it anymore. He's realizing what a terrible position he's in. He goes out, asks Carla what to do. She gives him fantastic advice, which leads to my joke of the week, which is you just need to say, we can't do this because, well, and she's smarter than us, so she'll fill that in. He's like, oh my God, that's fantastic. What am I supposed to say again? We can't do this because, well, No, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Water in the face. Loved it. Joke of the week. Goes back in. She totally fills in the blank. Says, yes, we have to keep a proper work environment. Carla needs me. I need this job. Reveals that it was also good for Sam's safety because 2 of her husbands died in the throes of passion. And she has some of the greatest line readings you will ever see in a sitcom. I rewound it twice. Just so good. Oh my God, you child. Oh, so good. So good, ear to ear. Fantastic. Just bringing this Shakespearean touch to Cheers that was absolutely perfect. Sam is actually tempted to experience this and say, no. Okay, I'm going to go with the daughter. She's suddenly fine with him going off with the daughter because she knows something that we don't, which Christy, I believe her name is Christy, the daughter. Caroline, I'm sorry. Caroline reveals, and when he says, what happened to your dad? Well, they say it was a heart attack, but we know it was Mommy's passion that killed him. Yes, perhaps that's why I've always despised sex so much. Just the thought of it gives me chills. Anyway, are you ready? And they're going to Cape Cod. There's a lot of stuff that makes you go like, she's showing him the nude pictures and saying, let's go to Cape Cod together, but also doesn't like sex. Like, not saying that you can't travel with someone that you're not going to have sex with, but I'm saying I don't think it's common to say, here's my nude portraits. And by the way, I'm completely asexual. Let's go on a trip together this weekend. That felt like it was a good punchline and I enjoyed it, but it's good that they ended that before anyone had a chance to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Theme. A couple of other notes about this week's episode. It was the first one filmed after the passing of Nick Colasanto.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And it was the first appearance. If you look in the back area by the piano, there's a portrait of Geronimo that will appear for the rest of the series. And that actually was in Nick Colasanto's dressing room. He had that portrait of Geronimo in there, and then they moved it out to honor Nick. So that was there as a way to keep Nick Colasanto on set for the rest of the series. So you can look for that and always see a picture of him somewhere. Yep. I very, like I said, I enjoyed it. It didn't stick with me. I find a little bit weird that they act like this episode never really happened. But because I thought it was a really well done episode. I wanted her through the end of this season. I thought that would have made perfect sense to have Lillian around, commenting on what was going on, giving advice. Like I jumped ahead just to see what happened in the last episode to reference it back. And I was like, Lillian would have been perfect here, like giving Sam advice about what to do in Europe. It would have worked out beautifully. I don't know why she wasn't there. Quick question. It's 1985. Cheers has job applications with their logo on it. Like, no one's ever applying for this job. If you look carefully at the applicants, there's a little Cheers logo in the upper left-hand corner. I'm like,
I missed that.
I didn't notice that. That's funny.
How fucking fancy is this place? Are you kidding me?
I mean, it's right below Melville's.
It is, but Melville's has turnover. The same 3 people have worked in this bar for like 8 years. And then every once in a while, Sam hires somebody he's attracted to. They've actually got like printed stationery applications with their logo on it. Do you know how expensive that was in 85? You had to have someone design it. You had to go down to the printer and get this done.
That's got to be the province of the previous owner. That must have come with the bar. I can't imagine Sam going to the printer being like, run me off 100 of these applications.
It was kind of weird to me that they just sort of gave up giving any reason why Coach was not there anymore. It's just not even referenced that there's no other bartender this week.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, he's up in Vermont doing the thing. He's visiting his sister. There was none of that. Yeah, so I think they just couldn't quite bring themselves in this first episode back to reference it. So they just said, you know what, we're just not mentioning it. And they knew they had another cold open with him to go. So, all right, we're just going to leave that there to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are my thoughts. Your thoughts on the episode, folks?
Yeah, like it was delightful. It wasn't even particularly like that. Like it was charming. It wasn't that funny. Like I didn't find that there were like a ton of like laugh out loud moments, but I was sort of swept up in it. I really liked Carla in a position of authority. I thought that was maybe one of the more interesting things about it, was seeing Sam take this kind of subservient position, kind of status wise, which is something I think that they really play for laughs once in the Rebecca years. But it's interesting to see Sam be at the mercy of somebody else.
Yeah, there are interesting character dynamics this week. And it was a good Carla week. Like she asserted herself. She had some good lines. I enjoyed the boob line quite a bit. But yeah, there weren't a lot of laugh out loud moments this week. It was just sort of a fun interlude.
Yeah, it's like for once though, this was an episode with an adequate amount of Carla done right, and not written by Heidi Perlman.
Truth.
Yeah. So I think at least in the writer's room, they're starting to find Carla's voice.
Yeah. I think they're really starting to hook on to how she really is best used in the show. Yeah, she's a high usage reliever. She's not a starter. Even though next week she's called on for a spot start.
But and also like to give her like some need, like we understand that her home life is pretty chaotic, and desiring stability in her work life is like makes so much sense for her, to the point where she's going to like threaten to leave if she can't have that, because she's not going to have chaos surround her in her life. I thought that was kind of nice. Like it really kind of built on who we understand Carla to be, even as recently as like last week, and her having her crisis of faith. Like it seems like she is coming into sharper focus.
Yeah. Good point. Tookie, did you have your joke of the week?
It was the same as yours. And then the spray the water in the face. I loved that.
That was fun.
Great delivery. I thought Ted Danson had a lot of great deliveries this week.
Yeah.
His scene with Lillian is there. Obviously, she's got the best line readings and the best lines written for her, but she supports him, or he supports her completely in a great way. Just that is what you meant, right? You bet. It was just this great underplayed moment that was funny and totally appropriate.
Yeah, he's off balance all week, which is really fun to watch. He's a really, we know he's a gifted comedian, but he so often has to play like the cool guy who's in control. And, sometimes that plays as cruelty to Diane. It's really fun to watch him not be in control for a little while. And he owns it. Like, he's like, I can't control myself. I need to pursue this woman because I literally can't help it.
Yeah. That was something kind of nice about this week too. Yeah. Sam was not mean this week.
Yeah.
Creepy, but not mean.
Yeah.
Creepy. Yes.
Low status creepy.
Let's talk Sam creepy quotient. Just basically hitting on every beautiful woman who comes in to apply for the job.
Oh yeah, that part. Things are way off at that point.
Yeah, the creepdom is easily at a 36 this week.
Yeah, at least he's
ever applying for a job with Dave Rabinow. Apparently, he finds this behavior completely acceptable.
Well,
when you listen to this and wonder which of the hosts to get mad at, may I just say Dave found this completely okay.
Are you trying to?
I harmlessly made an Andrew Ridgely joke, and I want everyone to remember that that's nothing compared to what Dave is advocating. Okay, continue, Dave.
I will give him credit for recognizing his foibles and saying, "All right, you have veto control because I cannot be trusted. I'm going to abuse."
I'm just saying. I think it was admirable of Harvey Weinstein to find that plant.
Wow.
And say, all right, I can't control myself, so I'm going over to the plant. Okay, good.
Okay.
Too far? That was an anti-Harvey Weinstein joke. That was sarcasm.
I know, but
I can't figure out what the right words are here.
wow, there's going to be an HR meeting at Cheers.
If there was an HR department, they stopped getting paid a long time ago at Cheers.
Long time.
Yeah, it's
long time.
It's an underfunded department, certainly.
Speaking of HR, I saw a tweet that absolutely took me out because someone tweeted, does Nick Cannon just show up at these women's house with prenatal vitamins and an onboarding package?
Man, Nick Cannon. Has anyone's perception changed quite as dramatically, quite as quickly as Nick Cannon? I feel like 6-7 years ago, everyone just loved Nick Cannon. It was just like, he's got Mariah and he loves her and he dotes on her. And I love that he's this young man who loves this older woman. And he's like in charge of the Noggin Network and he's a host and he loves being a dad. And now it's like he loves being a dad too much.
Yeah. He's just out here making people. It's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
My familiarity with Nick Cannon really kind of like came and went with, I think it was the 2017 All-Star Game introductions. I think that's my entirety of familiarity with the Nick Cannon canon.
That is that as it should be, honestly.
Was that with Mariah in the Wizard's dress?
No, that's back in that's the early 2000s. That was like
okay.
that was one of his last years.
Yeah, no. I mean, within the Black community, it's like ghost hunters and such. Like people have been trying to figure out like the paranormal source behind how he pulls some of these women, because it just doesn't make sense.
Is it like the Pete Davidson thing? Is this like a similar like?
Yeah, kinda.
I've never understood why when you find a Nick Cannon, when you find a Pete Davidson, these guys where it just makes you go, I don't understand how this is happening. Why has no one just sampled the pheromones and tried to like synthesize it? I feel like clearly there's something chemical going on with some of these guys. It's like, look, this is just, we're making a Nick Cannon cologne. And everyone would at least try that.
Oh, the way I had to suffer through Axe body spray in middle school. We don't need to release that into the wild. We don't. The wrong people are going to get their hands on it.
Yeah. You came into comedy at just the right time. You missed the heavy cologne stretch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's not really a thing anymore. But that used to be, oh yeah. Whew.
Really? Oh,
cologne,
God.
Big part of the comedy experience when I started.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of nice though. It was sort of like a cat wearing a bell. Like no one ever snuck up on you. So you could freely talk shit, and there was never, he's behind me, isn't he? Because you smelled somebody coming from at least 20 feet away.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I like that.
Yep.
But oof. What a dark time. I'm glad I did miss it.
If you didn't like cologne, it was not a good time for you.
I think cologne I find triggering simply because I had a boss who used to just saturate himself in Drakkar Noir. Yeah. So my old boss, the one, you know the bit, Mike, the one with the guy who just couldn't even ask like, oh, what's your background? Just who made you? Yeah.
That guy wears a lot of cologne.
You already know he does, and you haven't even met him.
Yeah. When I imagine him in the joke, I'm like, oh, I know what he smells like.
Yeah.
All right. Our 80s thing of the week. So, Tookie, you gave
I have a bunch. Yeah.
Okay. So, Dave, real quick, what's your 80s moment of the week?
Man, I got to go with that Sam Polo shirt with the pink and green collar, and the color of the shirt itself looks like to be kind of like something a little like a nubblier velour, and it's got this kind of violet bluish kind of color to it, which is, I think, in itself a color that only occurred in the 80s. But that shirt was 1985 in a garment to me.
Nice. I have to go with multiple shopping catalogs being delivered by your friendly, reliable postal workers, because we know about the Sears catalog. You know how big a part it was of little Mikey D's life. But the Spiegel's catalog too, and it just reminded you, the Sears catalog was certainly the most known, but there were a lot of catalogs that used to come out. Like, it's really amazing how many trees used to die so that we could figure out what was on sale come Christmas time. There's a lot of catalogs.
I went down a rabbit hole around Christmas time because I wanted to look at some old toy catalogs and advertisements. And man, yeah, like it's those. It's just I remember, yeah, they were like hundreds of pages thick.
Oof.
And yeah, I remember poring over stuff like that when I was a kid when they came in.
Oh yeah, the wish book. You had the pen. You started circling the things you wanted, and your parents were like mine. You didn't get any of them, but you still had the pen.
But at least you got to talk to George Michael about the mortgage.
Oh, what happened? You broke up a little bit.
I was just reminiscing about you're at least able to talk to George Michael about your fixed rate mortgage.
Thank God. George Michael wouldn't have gotten me transformable box. I'll tell you that right now. He would have gotten me the brand toy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always got the thing that was just as good.
Transformable bots. Mike, I'm sorry. That's almost as bad as Nintendo cereal.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, I got like Move bots. I mean, I got some Transformers. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
They came. But my folks often tried to get the most off-brand version of the thing I really wanted.
The Nintendo Power Glue.
Yeah. The Nintendo Power Mitten.
Oof.
We saved money by not getting the fingers.
Oh, I pictured it. Now I'm sad.
Welcome to my childhood. All right, Tookie, your 80s things.
Okay, so as I mentioned before,
and it's okay if these go on for a little while because I just need to cry a little bit. So you go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, referring to female service staff as wenches of any sort, unironically too. Like, ooh. So that was an 80s moment for me. The $500 a week being now equivalent to about $1,295, $1,300 in today's money. Okay, the second woman that Sam interviews for the position, Brenda, who came in with the big Barbie hair and the big plastic clip-on earrings and the big belt tied around her sweater dress. That was peak, like, I watch Gem 80s moment fashion. Okay, Mustache Guy is back in 2 scenes.
Yes, loved him.
Big Mustache Guy is back. Okay.
He looked like if Keith Hernandez budded.
Yes. Yeah. So he's back. Okay. When we visit Frasier and Diane outside the House of Medici, all the little tiny European cars, all those little Fiats, because European cars in the 70s and 80s and like a very hot second in the 90s all had that sort of look, that little teeny tiny boxy look. So all those cars were definitely an 80s moment.
Can I say? Well, can I say on that shot for when I first saw it, I was like, oh, they're at Bunker Hill. And then I realized that in fact was not.
Bunker Hill. No, that was not the Bunker Hill Monument. So yeah, the teeny tiny cars. There was a woman as part of the service staff that sort of mobbed Frasier who came in, and she had a whole 80s Euro look with big gold triangle earrings and like a super high slit skirt. She was in there doing like evoking. I know
exactly who you were talking about. Didn't it make you go like, what is the service that they are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's serving a lot
of a very specific uniform, not her.
No. It's serving very much like Charo Coochie Coochie in the 80s. Okay, so the maid outfit. I feel like that French maid black and white situation stopped being like employees stopped wearing that particular uniform after a certain point in time. Like then it transitioned to other cleaning staff uniforms, but that was a very specific made uniform in earnest in a certain amount of time. Okay. Diane's very obvious pregnancy frock. Because it's not just the fact that she was pregnant, it's the fact that in the 80s, maternity fashion was ass. And she was definitely serving a lot of Little House on the Prairie school marm energy with that 80s pregnancy frock. But they tried to pass it off as fashion. It was not fashion. That screamed maternity department to me. Okay, yes. Agreed. Sears catalog and Spiegel catalog. And one of my aunts used to receive Spiegel well into the early 2000s. They weren't bricks, but she got like a bi-monthly Spiegel catalog delivered to the house. Okay. The Heimlich maneuver as a joke.
You weren't joking. You got some.
I have a lot. So much leaped out of me. Okay, so the Heimlich maneuver was like a 80s, 90s sitcom trope, but back cracking as also kind of the Heimlich maneuvers B-side, if you will, as a joke. Caroline's blouse. Good God.
That is something.
That floral print blouse hurt me.
I wanted a Hawaiian punch so bad after I saw that.
Yes. The fact that Caroline had a physical portfolio of her nudes, whereas you could just scroll through someone's phone now or their Snapchat history. She had a physical zip and fold open portfolio for the nudes. A map of Cape Cod, fumbling with a physical map of Cape Cod.
I'm playing you off with the Oscar music.
Oh, but I only have one more. I only have one more.
We don't need to say that.
One more.
Okay.
One more. The fact that it's not that it wasn't it was for the purpose of the joke. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Carla mailed a resume, people used to mail in their resumes back in the day to jobs versus hiring them on. But I wasn't kidding. I had a lot of moments that leapt out at me this week.
Yeah, you were not kidding.
I'm not kidding. I don't joke.
But it was so long. I actually had time to look up multiple playoff Oscar music choices.
God damn it.
Okay, Dickie, how white was this week's episode?
Surprisingly, not that white.
It was noticeable this week.
Yeah. In the cold open, we had so I didn't really split it up into scenes 1, 2, and 3 because the scenes 2 and 3 sort of blended into each other, and it all took place in one vignette essentially. So a lot of the same characters were reused. But in the cold open, you had a black man and woman walking together to the back wall. There was another black man passing behind Carla, and then he joins the couple. They were all in immaculate beige ensembles, I have to say. Scene 1, there was a Latina woman at the bar behind Carla. There was the repeat of the black couple from the opening before. Black man. Oh. Hi, Dewey. A black man in a blue plaid.
Is that my imagination, or does Dewey bark at this particular point of the podcast every week?
He gets very upset. He's I'm not sure if he's upset that we're documenting, that we're expressing an interest in non-Caucasian performers, or if he's supporting it. I can't tell if he's racist or not.
That dog?
I really want to believe Dewey's supportive.
I mean, given his DNA profile, he carries a lot of America with him.
Oh,
so I've got to believe that he is he's certainly a child of immigrants in his own way.
Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, there was a black man in a blue sweater sitting by the jukebox, and then another black man sitting opposite of the Latina woman who you can see more fully when they all cheers to Lillian because he raises his beer mug. And then in the second scene, which kind of blurs into scene 3, there was a Latina woman singing in the crowd of people singing along to the bar song. And then another black man and woman singing along in the crowd, a black man sitting way far in the back booth with his he was either light-skinned black or maybe Latino, but a person of color who was his friend. A black man sitting by the jukebox, a Latina woman in a blue blazer with like a cute little mushroom cut behind Carla, a woman who I interpreted specifically as Black Latina, because I have a lot of Black Latina, specifically women married into the family. And like, it's like, I'm familiar with this sort of look. So I believe she was in scene 1, but now she's in this scene again, and she's got on a red coat and she's sitting by the piano. It's a really beautiful red coat, by the way.
Yeah, that coat was something.
Yeah.
I feel like I know we've referenced it in the past,
Mhm.
but I feel like the costume department has got to be run by women of color.
Maybe.
Like it's a shame the show is so white, but every person of color that appears in the background is just dressed so well, like just the epitome of fashion. And it's not even just like, wow, that's very 80s. Like they could show up in what they were looking at in what today, and you'd go, Jesus, what a great outfit. You are wearing the shit out of that coat. Yeah. Like it was really noticeable this week.
Yeah. Every immaculate.
Dressed
The
to the
drip.
nines.
Yes. Okay. So there was an Asian man sitting at the bar around the corner to Carolyn's right. So on the outskirts of the bar, closer to the audience. And an Asian woman behind Carolyn talking to a couple of friends, and a black woman with long hair sort of sitting by herself on the far side of the bar closer to the booths. So in total, we had, without accounting for the 3 bonus people of color who sort of repeat in the episode, 16 total people of color this episode. Not bad. Not bad.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've never looked this up before. I really want to find out like who does the costuming.
Yeah.
Or who did the costuming for Cheers. If there was one person who was in charge of that. And of course, I'm just getting like Cheers Halloween costumes. So
Yeah.
and also Cher.
We got to do IMDb searches or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do a little more research into that because
dig
they
that up.
do a great job.
Mhm.
All right, final thoughts.
I liked it.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, Lila Kay was great.
Mm-hmm.
What's her face? Camilla Moore was the daughter, and she was fun. She's a twin, apparently. Like
Ooh.
she and her twin sister like have a lot of credits from the 80s and 90s as like sexy twins.
That was
There you
definitely a 90s 80s 90s trope.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that was. I feel like Mad Men had an episode where they kind of killed it.
Oh.
Yeah, like there was an episode with like young twins that were fooling around with Roger Sterling when he had a heart attack, and it was a very creepy episode. Yeah, very creepy episode. And I literally think back to that, and I don't remember a Hot Twins episode of TV after that. That was a real line of demarcation.
Yeah, that's probably they literally killed it.
Yep, good episode. I just, like I said, and I've said it a few times, I wish she got an arc. I don't know why they don't explain what happened to Lillian. She's this major character who's going to work at the bar. And the weird thing is, like, if you wanted to write her off, why did you find a way to make peace with it at the end of the episode? You could have just had that be a big fuck up.
It was
I don't
right
get
there
that as the resolution. Yeah. There's a great way to have her exit and have the whole episode be there. But just the idea that, okay, now I'm cleaning a glass and I'm still working here because this job is so important to me, and then gone.
Unless something happened behind the scenes. I don't know.
I guess it seems like a real quick change. Unless, like, maybe, no, because in St. Cleats, Diana's gone. So I was going to say, well, maybe they aired an earlier episode after that because they were going to do something, and then something happened. She got cast. But no, they had to kind of air that in the order it was supposed to be there. So, yeah, it's very weird. Very weird. But Lila, we miss you, and we wish you had been around Cheers a little bit more.
I would have 100%. I would 100% have given would have loved an episode where she and Sam do have a physical and romantic relationship, because there was like legit chemistry when like I was like, yeah, let's see this. I'm ready for this.
I would have loved to have seen the next day.
Yep.
All right. Anything to plug this week? You folks performing anywhere?
I'm going to be doing an improvised musical Saturday night at the Kismet Improv Theater in it's over in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So
my
come
hometown.
on down. Yep. Come on down. Watch us yowl.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, where can people stream Mr. Parent?
Oh, I think it's through the Lyrics website. I saw the link through Facebook, so I think you can access it by searching Lyric Stage on Facebook. But I'm sure, but if you check out the Lyric Stage's website, you can get it through there.
Nice.
Chicky, are you performing anywhere this weekend?
No, I'm gearing up for travel.
Oh,
but not far. Just hunkering down and testing before heading out.
Nice.
Just for a couple days.
Very good. I am, of course, nowhere. Like literally 10 minutes before this episode started to record, I had a text from a comedian friend going, "Can we talk about stand-up? Are you retired?" I think I might be retired. And I haven't responded yet. So yeah, I need to respond to that.
You're not retired. Not on my watch.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm like last Friday I was supposed to be doing a show and I was like, the roads aren't great. Like that's not something I would have done 10 years ago. It was legit and it was like not good driving and it was the smart, correct decision. I'm just saying 10 years ago I would not have made the smart, correct decision. I would have plowed ahead and done the show.
Oh no. Yeah. Me and my tour buddy, Caitlin. Hi, Caitlin, if you're watching. We had to cancel a gig because even though the Cape seemed to be fine, the roads in Boston were too dangerous. And there were like 200 plus reported accidents on like the Pike alone. Yeah. There's no way. Yeah.
There you go. All right. So that's where you can find us. We are off next week, correct? That was what we decided?
Yeah.
Okay. We are taking a break next week so you can catch up on old episodes, binge watch, get ready for the final 2 episodes of Cheers coming up. I don't know. Maybe we'll just skip the Bells of St. Cleats. No, we have to do it. Like, I kind of just want to pretend that that's what we're doing when we're not actually here next week. And then we can just jump to the finale, which is excellent. But we can't do that. So we got to do it. In the interest of completion, we will be doing everything. I am Mike. That's Dave. That's Tookie. Stay safe, everybody. Have a lovely Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day, if that is more your jam, because you don't need anybody in your life. You love you. That is perfectly fine, and that's what we support. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you next 2 weeks from today. Bye.